get those goosebumps every time I'm around you. Cause I'm hard to make everything go fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we can throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs.
Yes, sir.
Yes! Get in there. Come on. Woo! Who saw that coming? Apart from you, Chris, who saw that coming?
I said 1-0, didn't I? I did say 1-0.
You did.
Although, mate, it was more than hope. It was more than hope. I've got to be honest. I did not think it'd be a performance like that. Just didn't see it coming. Really didn't.
Absolutely class. We're back, lads. We're back in business. Right. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Loaded Mag NUFC reaction show to a 1-0 victory over title-chasing Arsenal. Yes, Arsenal. Same thing happened last year, I think. Don't like playing us. And happy birthday, Dan Potts, as well. You need to either change your birthday, Dan, or we need to check those fixtures or the time of your birthday next time. But how are you, lads? Pete, how are you? Can I just check? Have you got your keys? I know what you're like. I know what you're like. Have you got them?
Keys are intact. As I mentioned to you before, the phone was touch and go, particularly during the celebrations. But I'm all good. Phone and keys are as one, and back safe and sound after a fantastic trip, game and result. So absolutely buzzing. You know what, boys? It feels good to be celebrating for a change. It's been a little bit doom and gloom recently, but we had a good celebration on Wednesday with the Chelsea win, and then today, just gets better and better. Love it, boys. Love it. Chris,
I like
how you doing? Oh, sorry. Go on, Dad.
I was just going to say, I go to the Spurs game and bring home the 3 points. You go to the Arsenal game, you go to bring home the 3 points. Chris, what game are you going to bring home the 3 points?
I'm gonna have to go to a meaty one, aren't I? I'm gonna have to make sure that I can match you boys and hopefully bring over another 3 points.
And then we all go to Man U and bring home the
9 points. Chris, how are you?
Mate, my throat's a little bit sore off that screaming because literally, like that goal was sensational, absolutely sensational. And it was, I mean, I know we're going to get into it, but I'm on, like you said, Pete, I'm on cloud nine, absolutely made up, fantastic performance. So nice to do a match reaction on a weekend and like be in a good mood. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, a good few results went our way today, so. I'm just buzzing. I'm really, really happy. And I know we're going to get the league table up a bit later on, Daz. So again, something to discuss. But things are looking up, mate. Things are looking up. But I'm all good. Daz, how are you, mate? I'm
grand. Delighted to know, as you said, like it's great. The first game of the weekend as well. You can sit back and enjoy the rest of the year. Yeah, some wins, losses, draws. Doesn't really matter. We won. Happy weekend in store for everybody. Let's celebrate. That's what we're here to do. But let us get into it. Let's start with the team news. This is what Ellie went with. No Kelly, no Tonali. Byrne back in. Tino back in as well. Longstaff retains his spot. No Kraft. But thoughts on the team news, lads?
Go on, Chris.
So I think, Daz, you posted this in the group, didn't you? And I'll be honest, my initial reaction was, I fully expected Sean Longstaff to start. I was expecting that, but I thought I'd see Sandro Tonali in the middle. I was waiting to see him in that holding position, and the fact that he wasn't, I was a little bit disappointed. But all the same, you do look at the lineup and you think, okay, it looks reasonably good. I thought Lloyd Kelly was unlucky to miss out. Obviously, Dan Burn came straight back in. We knew the fullback positions. We knew they were going to be fine. We knew Fabian Schär, Nick Pope, etc. nice to see Bruno back, obviously, even though I think I would have preferred personally to have him in the more advanced role, especially after what you boys said, during away days. I know I caught the back end of away days due to trick or treating, but I know I saw the lineup that you boys picked, and I really liked the lineup. The one real positive was it was great to see Joe Willock and Joe Litton in there, because we knew we were going to see lots of interchanging on that left-hand side, and we knew that, going forwards, particularly because we've still not solved that right wing position, but let's try not to focus on that today. But I think having Joe Litton on the left and putting Anthony Gordon on the right, it kind of puts that to bed a little bit, certainly for now. So other than what I've just spoken about, obviously Tonali not playing, Lloyd Kelly being a little bit unlucky in my opinion. I was reasonably happy with the lineup. I was more intrigued than anything, because I was thinking, what are we going to expect here? I didn't want to see what we've seen in previous weeks. I wanted to see very similar to what we saw against Chelsea in the cup. That's what I was hoping for. But yeah, and again, a reasonably good bench. We had options off the bench, which is nice to see. But yeah, I not the lineup I would have chosen, but I still, I wasn't disheartened. I thought, okay, let's see what we've got.
Cool. Pete, where were you when the team news dropped for you?
Interesting story, actually, because I don't get signal around the ground, so I was by the statues with the supporters trust. We were doing almost like a bit of a protest, and it was, we were having a conversation with Jordan and Liam Kennedy, the Geordie journals. So I found out from the team news because Jordan had his phone out and he managed to get signal and did the lineup, and it was quite funny when he announced that Tonali and Kelly weren't in the team, because he was like, click the button for meltdown. Tonali's not in, Kelly's not in. All the points that you mentioned, Chris, he was kind of like, Jordan was like, there's going to be trouble. But yeah, that's where I was when the team news came out, and you look at it and you think, Tonali not playing. You look at Kelly. I mean, as you mentioned, Chris, quite rightly, like, we kind of expected Burn to come in. We did. We just felt that was always going to be the case, even though people felt that Kelly did deserve to get the start. Tonali was the big surprise for me. I'll tell you what I was happy about. That Joe Linton was on the left and Willock started, because that was so good and so effective. We talked about it. For the short period at Chelsea, it was really good. It was excellent. Chelsea away for the short period when they came off the bench. Against Chelsea on Wednesday, it was excellent, and so I was pleased about that. So I'll kind of touch on the positives. That was the thing that was good to see. Is that Eddie Howe was going with his sort of almost tried and trusted, because it worked 2 years ago. So bringing that back was positive. So yeah, I'll kind of touch on the positives more so than anything. That was what I was really happy about. What about you, Daz?
It was Tonali was the not playing was the big one for me. Yes, there. I did think I would have put in Kelly, but Eddie knows better, and he put in Dan Burn. And apart from that was pretty much as expected. I did think the Longstaff would be. I think he had a great game as well. I wrote down a note here, lads. Wear sunglasses on Top Table Talk whenever we're running that show. Yes. It's payback. Right. Let's get into the game a bit. Of course, spoiler alert, you were there, Pete, and you'll give us your bird's eye view from the perspective of the game as well. Great display as well by Warflags and on Remembrance, and really well observed by everyone. He's already got them.
Why am I not here?
Why not downstairs again? Right. You don't need them tonight, Chris. It's Monday or Tuesday. We're never on that show. Right. Let us talk through the game. That's there where we do a bit as the team gather. Nice opening move from Newcastle inside the first 5 minutes down the left. worry. I'm sure you guys were worried as well when that first Arsenal got that first corner from the set piece kings, of course, had the first corner. But again, nothing worked out for them in the set pieces today, which was great. But 11 minutes in, Gordon crosses the ball from the right, and leaping like a salmon is Isak in between Saliba and Gabriel, an old school, old-fashioned right winger, crossed it in for a number 9 striker, back at the net. 1-0 Newcastle. Isak's first goal against Arsenal. And yes, we have a few pictures as well of the goal, the celebration, the acknowledgement of Gordon and Isak as well. We also have a small little video of the celebration after, courtesy of Mr. Davey. Right, Pete. We're going to you first. We're going to you first for this one. How was it for you?
Yeah. Unreal. I was saying to you, that's probably live. I wish I'd I don't like necessarily to get my phone out, but I had to get that moment because it was right in front of us. I couldn't get out quick enough. I wish I'd have been able to give that angle of where the ball went in, the header, the celebration as he runs off, and then the knee slide. But yeah, I couldn't get my phone out quick enough. I was too busy going mental. And so I only caught the last bit, so I apologize for that. But honestly, the build-up play was brilliant. It was some may say it was Arsenal-esque, the way we were moving the ball around. It was brilliant. And you know what? Alexander Isak will get the plaudits because it was a brilliant finish and a great goal. But I tell you what, Anthony Gordon's ball in was absolutely perfect. It was the perfect ball. Honestly, the way it comes to him, he takes it first time. He doesn't need a touch or 2 or 3. The way he puts that in with so much whip, we haven't seen a ball like that. And we keep going back to the right-hand side. Chris, you talked about it. And Daz, you've talked about it before, about it being a problem area. I don't know when the last time we've seen a ball like that put in. Well, Murphy's put some decent balls in, to be fair, in times gone by. Maybe a little bit deeper, but it reminded me of Solano. You know, like Solano back in the day, whipping in that type of ball for Shearer. And it reminded me of a Shearer-esque finish. I'm not going to lie. It up in the air. Big spring, powerful header. And when that hit the back of the net, wow. It was just like pandemonium in the stadium. I don't think that video does justice. When you look around, visually, everyone's just going absolutely mental. And I have to say, boys, I'm gonna get your thoughts on this as well. I thought fully deserved at that point. I know it was early on in the game, but we fully deserved to take the lead at that point. Just a brilliant because
Arsenal hadn't really threatened us at that stage. It was pretty close, but because they didn't even have we had that nice move in the first 5 minutes, but no, up to 11 minutes we were even we didn't have probably as much possession, but we were good for it. Let's say we're good for it. Chris, your thoughts on Isak's goal?
I just thought it was a sublime goal. As Pete said, almost Arsenal-esque, you could say. The crisp passing, and then when the ball goes, I think it was Longstaff who plays it out to Gordon. He could have took a touch, but he thought no, get it straight in there, and the cross was perfectly delivered. But what was great was Alexander Isak. He's on his toes. He's waiting. He knows the ball's coming in. No offense, but if that was Miguel Almiron, that ball doesn't get put in. So when the ball gets put in by Gordon, Isak, he's still got a lot to do. I know that he's not closely marked, but he finds that little bit of space. And as soon as he gets it was weird. And I don't know whether, Pete, it was like this at the ground, but it certainly was it was for me watching it at home, and Daz, maybe the same for you. As soon as the ball went in, I knew it was a shot on target. I just knew, because he floated it in exactly the right area. Isak's just waiting for it. And all he has to do is just make a half decent connection on it, because it's got the pace on it. All he's got to do is just redirect the ball, and he's going to make the keeper work. And as we saw with Raya, he was actually in a pretty decent position for it. But because it doesn't go directly at him, he's got no time to react. And, ball goes in the back of the net. And honestly, like, I can't remember celebrating a goal as much as that. I genuinely can't remember the last time. I was literally screaming, like, I think as well, Daz, it goes back to what you said. I think it's because, one, we deserved it. And two, for some reason, it just felt like it was our day today. I know it was early on, and I knew that Arsenal were more than capable of coming into it, but things were just falling our way. And the longer that the game went on, I know somebody's just put in the chat then, the last 15 minutes that they had the hands over the face, peeking through the fingers, looking. And to a degree, it was like that. But I just felt like there was a lot of control in today's performance. There wasn't a moment where I thought, oh, we're in big trouble here. And I'm going to do it a bit later on properly, but need to give a big shout out to Nick Pope, who I thought was absolutely brilliant today, in terms of like coming and claiming, punching at the right time, but he was getting good connections on his punches. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Great goal, 1-0, fully deserved. And do you know what? I thought we were going to add another one as well. And Daz, I know you'll probably get into it, mate. But what were you thinking, Daz, when the goal went in? How did you feel? I heard you, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's where I was going to, because I was absolutely shocked, because I went to scream into my phone with my voice note, and there's a voice note already from Chris Hall. I said, this booster is really working for Chris. He's flying it. He means business. But absolutely delighted. To be honest, I wasn't holding much hope for this game. Okay, the Chelsea game did lead me to believe again, but absolutely delighted with the win. And yeah, just the old school type nature of the goal. We don't see too many at them the way we play these days for Newcastle. But let's move on a bit. Newcastle continue to press and to try and keep Arsenal caged in. Arsenal corner, it's touchdown scramble. It's blocked by Hall, more or less nearly off the line. Popey probably wouldn't have got to it, but when the ball was smashed towards him. Chances then were limited for the guys. That's kind of both sides kind of cancel each other out for the next 15 minutes. Then the next notable thing I made note of, anyways. Did you ever have a Brazilian sandwich, lads? tasty. A bit of Kai Havertz in the middle, because I love that. I still remember the time what he did to Dan Burn. So I thought that was lovely payback, Kai Havertz. Then Newcastle kind of played well without the ball pretty much most of the time for the rest of that half. But we soaked up the Arsenal pressure. That led us to halftime 1-0. And I will zoom on through the rest of the half and stop me at any point you want along the way. 45 minutes, Willock had a shot with an excellent move from Newcastle in 45 minutes. Isak was having an unbelievable game. Everything kind of seemed to work for him today. Holding the ball up, busting through players and laying off to Gordon with lovely kind of looping pass over. Arsenal tried to pile on the pressure, and then you can see Eddie on the sideline then around the 60-minute mark. He was talking to Tonali sitting beside him. So he knew Tonali was going to be coming on, but kind of explain to him what he wanted from him when he does come on. About 57 minutes. Great football from Newcastle again, from defence to attack. This is probably the one you're talking about, Chris, potentially, where Willock goes to J7 back to Willock, and Willock had his shot over. Was that the one you were going to go on? Yeah. Anthony, you want to say that?
I just thought it was a lung busting run from Joe Willock, and it was nice to see, because it was a little bit of the Joe Willock of old. Like he really came of age this game. It was great to see him, back to close, if not back to his best. And him and Joe Linton linked up so brilliantly on that left. And yeah, it was a shame that because he did everything right bar the finish. It was just a little bit too high, and I know he was trying to claim for a corner. He reckons it got deflected, and when you saw the replay, it never. It was just the fact that like he'd hit the ball slightly wrong. But again, lovely little interchange, and we played. You know, it was a nice bit of football to create the chance. And do you know what? At that point, boys, we deserve to be 2-0 up. So, like, even if it hasn't gone in, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't have been robbery or catching them on the break or anything like that. We would have deserved it. Would have helped us in the dying embers, and it would have saved the hearts a little bit. But not that we can complain, as I say, because we did make it through. But yeah, good chance. It was just unlucky from Joe Willock. But again, lung busting one did really well.
Nice. I'll keep going. 60 minutes. Arsenal play their super sub card with Ranieri, whatever you want to call him, the 17-year-old wonder kid was going to save the day.
Just call him Ethan. Call him Ethan.
Ethan. That's easier. When did I think of that? Ethan. But nothing happened for him. 62 minutes. Isak kind of shot from distance was saved by the keeper after the ref played advantage when Bruno had won a free kick, but we played on the advantage. 63 minutes, Rice had a shot past the post. 64 minutes, Willock come off and Tonali came on. Then Popey goes down to have a bit of a chat. The old shithousery was back. I loved it.
There was nothing wrong with him, was there? Because you've seen like the physio come over and he was like pointing at his leg, like, yeah, I'm in trouble here. And then you could just see like he was talking to Fabian Schär, and it was almost like, yeah, just have a little couple of minutes.
You can see there was more wrong with the ref. The ref was doing stretches.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like right in front of us. It was so funny because like I think one of their players is down. So like at that point, Pope just goes down as well because it's almost like he waits because their player's down. And their player is just about to get up, and just as their player is about to get up, he goes down. So it's just to delay it a little bit longer. And the Havertz comes over to him, and he's giving him a bit of it. We're giving him loads of abuse. And the referee walks over. Obviously, he's trying to make sure that he is actually injured. And Pope just gives this little wiggle to his right leg, as if to say that's where the injury is. There's nothing wrong with him at all. But it's just brilliant how he does it. And
I know, it's so funny.
It was just hilarious because for us it was so obvious, but for everyone else it's kind of like, is he injured? For us fans, we've seen it too often. We know the score.
Yeah. But I do enjoy it. Newcastle try to take the sting out of the game as they are under pressure to keep Arsenal out. Then on hey Wolfie, we're coming for you, Wolfie. You might be in third spot, but we're coming for you. Get your sunglasses ready for top table talk as well, Wolfie. Heads up. But Gordon, a massive interception there to cut out the Arsenal shot on the 84th minute, right before he was coming off. He probably knew he was coming off at that stage. Then the sub was Med, Gordon off, Barnes on. Great reception and performance by Gordon, as Pete alluded to as well. The cross. 86 minutes. J7 header from Barnes cross after good work in the corner by Isak. Then Bruno gets a bit of a hug from Jorginho as well, old friends of course, so that was nice as well. Waste a bit more time, why not?
You know what, Daz? I love that. Jorginho, he came on and he looked like he had a bee in his body for Bruno, but he just did exactly what Bruno wanted to. He was really aggressive and angry and physical with him. Bruno, by that point, that was his fourth time. He'd already gone to ground and won as a free kick. So he was like, "Want to touch me? That's all right. I'll go down. I'm gonna do a free kick." And you could almost see the frustration in Jorginho when he goes down, because he knows as soon as he does it, he's like, "Yeah, I fucked up here." Because it literally just gave us an extra minute and a half, like, to waste time on the back of it, and they needed to keep the game flowing. So it was perfect. It was brilliantly played.
5 minutes injury time. TNT fighting over who to give the man of the match, either Tino or Hall. Both of them playing excellent. But then heart-stopping moment here. 92 minutes, that Rice header from Isak across. He headed it down and wide, but I was like, thank fuck for that. I was sure that was going in. How was that where you were there, Pete? It would have been opposite side slightly, but
Lads, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I thought my heart stopped. Like I'm not even gonna lie. When that, like, we're all at this point in the Gallagher, we're all standing up. We're just like at this point, we're not even sitting down. We're standing up at the front. And when it comes over, like I think it's in the back of the net, and I'm like, oh my god! Like as soon as it hits wide, I go back into my chair, and I'm just like, oh my god! It literally took me about 30 seconds, and I've got two older ladies behind me absolutely pissing themselves at me because I'm just like in bits, like I've got my head in my hands. I'm just like, oh my god! Like I've got an old boy next to me who was brilliant, by the way. I don't know his name, but he was absolutely top notch. Me and him were just giving Havertz so much shit throughout the whole game, particularly the second half. And we were just like, oh my god! Like it did look like from our angle, like it had gone in. So to see that go wide, and the reason why is because they didn't deserve it, and so and they've always got this knack of nicking something late on. And I just thought, no, please don't do this to us because we don't deserve for them to score a goal. So yeah, it was absolute full on relief. But then just checking the pulse that everything's all good afterwards, just for a minute or two.
Yeah. But yeah, then 94 minutes, Bruno off, job done. Kelly on to see it out. 1-0 Newcastle against Arsenal, the title contenders. Clean sheet for Newcastle as well. And coming up very close, 8th of November, I think, is Eddie Howe's 3-year anniversary for you as Newcastle manager. Sorry, this one. Full-time 1-0. Q. The dog walking pictures with Isak. They're out in full force. And there's another cool one I found here. Look at this one. Love that artwork. Nice.
Oh.
Nice. Credit to whoever did that one. But yeah. How was it for you, lads? Chris, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Pete. How was the overall game for you?
I just thought people in the chat have been saying it as well. There were so many outstanding performances today. I know we'll probably touch on man of the match after this, Daz, and I'll tell you who my man of the match is because I didn't agree. I didn't agree with Lewis Hall being given man of the match. Not that he was bad. Lewis Hall was absolutely outstanding, but for me, there was one player who was slightly above him. But we'll get to that later. But in terms of the performance, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought I struggled to pick a player who played poorly. I thought everybody played brilliantly. It was great to see us back to our old selves. And when I say old selves, I'm probably talking not last season, but the season before. The season when we were fighting for Champions League. It was so enjoyable to watch. And I hope it's reflected by the pundits and all the other media outlets out there. We didn't let Arsenal play today. Arsenal. I feel like I was going to say stagnated, but no, we stifled them. That's the word I'm looking for. We stifled them, and we didn't allow them many chances. And if you look back, if you watch back the game, you'll see yourselves, if you didn't see it in full, that like they didn't have that many chances. The one time, which is what we've just spoken about, the one time a ball got whipped in and we weren't quite in position was when Declan Rice had that header. That was the one tiny mistake where we let them in. We had the door open, but thankfully we weren't punished for it. But throughout the rest of the game, we had them under control. And it did feel, like I said earlier, it felt like it was always going to be our game. Every little half ball, we always got there first. Every 50-50, we always seemed to come out better for it. But that's not just luck. You can't have luck for the whole 90, 95, 96 minutes, whatever it was. That was just down to hard work and endeavour. And I just felt like we bossed Arsenal all over the pitch. I honestly, I thought we were absolutely brilliant, and it was so nice to see. And I did hope that Chelsea game was going to kind of like kickstart our season. I know, obviously, it was in the Carabao Cup, but I just want to see 3 or 4, 5 good performances similar to that, and things are going to look so much different, boys. So much different. But credit to the players. Executed the game plan. I thought Eddie Howe, as I say, I had my reservations about the starting lineup. He was proved right because, tactically, I thought we were immense. I thought that our game plan was really, really good. We didn't allow Arsenal to play. We didn't give them a minute. The intensity's back. Even having Gordon on the right, Gordon has a really, really good game, and we know that he prefers to play on the left. And I think you boys know I always like to see him on the left, but I thought he was great today in that right wing position. So many good performances, and shout out as well to Sandro Tonali, who came on and really did well. I loved, and Pete, you can touch on this when you give your thoughts. I don't know about you boys, but I loved his yellow card. Absolutely loved Sandro Tonali's yellow card because there was a moment they slipped through. Arsenal got through, and you knew Sandro Tonali knew, and that's where the big game, player experience comes from, because he just literally pulls them back and he takes the yellow, and you're like, yeah, that potentially could have been a dangerous counter attack. But Sandro Tonali knew that Newcastle were under a little bit of pressure, so he took a yellow for the team, and I thought it was a really clever decision from him. Because obviously if they got us on the counter attack, it puts the defence under a lot of pressure. But yeah, brilliant performance, absolutely made up with the 3 points, and Wolfie, we're coming for you, mate.
We're coming for Wolfie. We also, just on yellow cards, I think Byrne and J7 are 1 card away from an automatic 1-match ban as well, so they escaped that today. And sure, yeah, after today, picking up one today. Mikel Arteta, what did you think of it? Arse. Yes, that's what I thought. That was your analysis of the game afterwards. Pete, you were there. How was it all for you?
But first and foremost, I'm absolutely buzzing that we have won that game. No controversy, no controversial decisions, no controversial fouls or crossed the line when it didn't. All this nonsense from last year. We won fair and square, and every Arsenal fan I've spoken to have said exactly that. So that's put out there early on. We won fair and square. We were by far the better team. Now, some people will talk about stats and they'll talk about possession and all that sort of stuff. I ain't interested. 64% possession for Arsenal. I'm not interested. The reason why I'm not interested is because that was the game plan. The game plan was executed absolutely perfectly. Eddie Howe today outsmarted, outthought Mikel Arteta from minute 1 to minute 96. And he had no answer to everything that Eddie Howe had put in place. And it was absolutely fantastic to see. It was a brilliant performance. It just reminded me of 2 years ago, boys. It really did. It reminded me of the season we finished 4th. The way we worked, those boys worked tirelessly for 96 minutes. They ran their socks off for the lads. They gave everything for every ball, every 50-50, everything was put in there. As you said, Chris, some of them took fouls and yellow cards for the team to ensure that we won. That's what I wanted to see. That's what we've been missing for so long, that type of performance. And it was, I'll be honest, boys, we were unplayable for long parts. When did Nick Pope have to make a major save to keep us in the game? I can't remember one. He's come out and collected 1 or 2 great catches in the game. But he ain't been tested at all. Whereas Raya, he had 3 or 4 decent efforts that he had to pluck away over the course of the game. So possession-wise, it's at the park. But what we did today, and I tweeted it out, but we literally chewed them up and spat them out. Physically, we dominated them. Work rate, we outworked them. On the ball, we were better because we were direct. We got the ball and we played it into areas where we knew it was going to hurt Arsenal. We weren't doing this tippy-tappy football side to side, which we've been known to do this season, by the way, and it hasn't worked. And Arsenal did that, and it didn't work. And Arsenal are the classic team that they like to be the team that dominates, but they can't break through the lines. They need Odegaard to do that. And without Odegaard, they can't break through the lines. They are not the same team. And you raised an interesting point, Chris, about Saka, because I thought exactly the same. And there's a reason for it. Saka got one ball in for the Declan Rice chance right at the end. And the only reason they did that is because they overloaded. They overloaded right at the end on that area on the left. They threw an extra man in there. Ethan was in there. There was Ben White in there and Saka in there. And I think it was one other. And they literally hung out all of that area. So there was always an extra player overload. And that's how Saka managed to get the opportunity. But honestly, boys, the tactics, the formation, everything about it wasn't just organized to a perfect tee. It was executed to a perfect tee. And there are so many players that I could talk about. And I think I know who your man of the match is, Chris, because I think I've got the same person for the same reasons.
Ooh.
Because there was a key component to this team that made it tick. And I'm not going to say it right now.
You put pressure on now, because I'm thinking of the same. But I mean, there was loads of great performances. There were some unbelievable performances. Yeah.
But the key to it is closing down their key men.
Yeah.
And we did that absolutely perfectly. It was such a good performance. And if we play like that, we will be up the league very quickly. There is no doubt about it. We've come through some tough games recently, like Chelsea twice, Arsenal. We've got Forest, great season so far, West Ham, and then we've got Liverpool in between. We've got a run up to Christmas now where we could genuinely pick up some points. And if we're playing like that, we could pick up some points very quickly. And what you've already alluded to, and we'll get the league table up in a second, Chris, you already touched on it in the chat. We're only 4 points off third place. So for all of what's happened this season already, we are not far off our target and where we ultimately wanted to be at the beginning. And that gives a nice different outlook to where we were a week or two ago. It gives us a different outlook. But I'm going to give props to Eddie Howe here. He gets a lot of stick. He has got a lot of stick recently, but that game plan was executed perfectly. It was planned perfectly, and it was delivered perfectly. And although the players deserve the most praise, Eddie Howe deserves big praise for that as well, because, he's outsmarted a manager that's considered the best in the league. On this evidence today, I would quite seriously question that. But an unbelievable performance. I'm so proud of the boys. It was brilliant to see. And not one other club outside of Newcastle United would have thought we'd have got anything today. We've just proved to them.
No.
Lawless in the 12th man chat, I'll say this now. He made the point of saying, and I won't be able to find it. There's been loads of messages. He made the point of saying Newcastle United aren't good enough right now to go and turn over Arsenal in this type of game. They're not good enough. I beg to differ.
What's he going to do in the championship next season? Maybe we'll ask him soon. Right. Let's have a look at let's look at the team photo first. Love watching these. Watch Asula at the back under the sea of Newcastle. But and Santa Claus is in the picture as well. It's a bit early for Santa Claus. Halloween is just over. But yeah,
and there's Sven. There's Sven under the U.
Yes, he is. He's back. And Trips is in there as well. Do we see Wilson? Is Wilson in there?
No, I don't think Wilson's in there. Where's Trips? Where's Trips? Am I missing him?
Trips is beside JT in the middle.
Oh yeah. I knew he was there because I think TNT got a clip of him earlier, but yeah.
Oh, it's great. Watching those pictures. But yeah, let's look at the league table, lads. And if Wolfie's still in the chat, he's hung on for this bit. There we go.
Yes.
Newcastle up to 9th spot. I haven't actually looked at this properly. I looked at it after the game, but not since the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We're in 9th spot, from 12th to 9th on 15 points, 3 points off 4th spot. That's all. As it stands now, but of course, this game's tomorrow and maybe Monday as well. I can't remember. But what do you think, lads?
All to play for is the words I'd use. All to play for. From what looked like a bleak position, we're in a great position now to really kick on with a lot of winnable games coming up in the next 5, 6, or 7 games. There's a lot of winnable games within that. We just need to apply ourselves correctly. Massive game next week, and if you look at Forest, West Ham, Liverpool, they're all teams that you'd be expecting to be in and around where we want to be. Obviously, West Ham aren't at the moment, but Forest certainly are. And if we can go and beat them, for as great as and fantastic as Forest season are, we'll be 1 point behind them with a win. So let's go to their ground and turn them over again, because we've done it the last 3 times we've been there. So there's no reason why we can't go and do it again.
Let me run through the results because I did look at all of them, especially the late game. So Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Bournemouth 2, Man City 1. Ipswich 1, Leicester 1. BBC, sorry, I was trying to do the BBC commentary. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1, Forest 3, West Ham 0. Southampton bet Everton 1-0 as well, and 2-2 in the Wolves Palace game. So things not looking up for either Wolves or Palace down there at the bottom. But Southampton got the win.
I think we go to Palace as one of those games, don't we?
Yeah. Pretty soon.
So, Ipswich, I think, is one of them in December. You look at the type of fixtures that we've got coming up in the next 6 or 7, and you think the winnable games against teams down there, and with Everton, we didn't win that one. We should have. We beat Southampton. We beat Wolves. If we want to be up there challenging, we need to be going to a Palace and an Ipswich and turning them over. And if we can do that, yeah. I mean, Chris, what are your thoughts on the table, mate?
No, I think it's all positive, Pete. I think despite having our struggles, I think before this, obviously we've got a nice green tick at the end there, but we didn't have any green ticks up until this game, so we hadn't won in the last 5. I just think to be within touching distance. I think I said to you boys, didn't I? We're 4 points off third. Now the games that we've got coming up, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it's something like Forest away.
West Ham next.
Yeah, Forest away, West Ham at home, Palace away, and Liverpool at home. Mm-hmm. Four very doable games. Those, and I said to you boys, if we can try and get something like 10 points out the next 12, which is a big ask. I'm not downplaying the opposition or anything like that, but if we can go on a run where we win 3 or 4, or even go unbeaten for 4 and get a couple of draws and a couple of wins, that league table looks completely different. Tomorrow, I think we should all be cheering on Tottenham and Man United, because if Tottenham and Man United win their respective games, so I think Tottenham are playing Villa and Man United are playing Chelsea, that'll mean that the top 4, top 3 is unaffected in terms of how far we are away from them. So really, they would be the best results, I think. But no, it's just promising.
Do you want Tottenham winning though? They're below us at the moment.
They are, but I don't want Villa to kind of creep even more further, because I think Villa would go above Forest. Yeah, Villa would go on 20. Yeah. I don't want Liverpool, City, and Villa to creep away. Tottenham, I'll be honest with you, Pete, I'm not too worried over them. But Tottenham will go a point ahead of us if they win. Even if they could hold Villa to a draw, that wouldn't be too bad, would it? Yeah, we definitely take that. We just don't want a Villa win. And I'll be honest, and this is no offence, obviously, to Billy or Rich, but I am sick of hearing how well Villa are coping with this Champions League. Like, it's in its infancy. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've just stepped foot into November. It's like, calm down a little bit. You know, let's get to January, let's get to February, and then see where they are. And I tell you what, if Tottenham turn them over tomorrow, you know, people could soon be getting on Emery's back a little bit, because Villa really, they got, for me, Villa got the Champions League because Tottenham threw it away last year. Now, Villa deserved the Champions League last year, so I'm not saying they didn't, but they were given a free run because Tottenham just imploded, absolutely imploded. But, you know, this year it's going to be ourselves, hopefully, Chelsea, Man United possibly, with Amadam coming in. I think people are just automatically giving Villa this top 4 spot. They're just like, oh yeah, Villa are brilliant, give it to Villa. And it's like, not yet. You know, when they start picking up a couple of injuries, or, you know, when they hit a bad run of form, and then they've got to juggle, you know, or do we play our best 11 in the Champions League? Do we play it in the Premier League? They've not really faced that yet. They've done brilliantly well, and well done to them. But I don't think they've hit that rough patch yet. And when they do, I just hope that we're there to kind of gobble up on the you know, the chance to kind of get close to them or even overtake them. But I think people are writing other clubs off far too quick. It's like with Chelsea as well. Chelsea are playing far better than what they were, and Maresca's getting a tune out of them. But I find it mad that people are just like, yeah, Villa, Chelsea. It's going to be Villa, Chelsea, and probably, you know, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. They're your 5. They're going to be the ones that are up there. And we're what, 10 games in? And it's like, let's just see how things pan out. Let's get past January and then see where we are. But no, I think to answer your question, Pete, I think the league table looks promising. And I think, you know, we've got a real chance now to kick on. But let's keep these performances up, and let's keep this intensity up, and let's get the points on the board.
Right, we're going to next. We're going to go to your man of the match, because that's what we wanted to focus on a second, and then we'll go down the rabbit hole of the questions from the chat. But first, do you need radiators or to get them sorted? Contact Russ at theradiatorshed.com or on 077-666-04112. Contact Russ. He'll sort you out. Right. Who wants to go first there with the man of the match? You've got to show your cards, lads.
Go on, Daz. You go first.
Yeah, go on.
Go on, Daz.
Me? Okay. Because I was like TNT. I was fighting between Tino and Hall. Just Hall, all the running all day long. He never slows down. Tino, I just thought was class as well. He got the foot in. Gordon did well. It was helping him out again. J7 helping Lewis Hall out. Longstaff as well. There where every time he seems to play, we seem to get a win. Maybe he's the first name on the team sheet now. I'm going to give it though to Lewis Hall. I'm going to stick with TNT and give it to Lewis Hall. Even though I did toy with giving it to Tino, I'm going to stick with Lewis Hall. Just how he was class. I'm just delighted with both our right and left back. Just so happy with them, and they're 20 and 21 or something like that. Just future sorted there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's for me.
Yeah. Sorry, Pete. What were you going to say, mate?
I wasn't going to say anything. You go, because I think we've got the same person. So you go on.
No, well, I think Daz sums it up really, really well. But for me, and I spoke about him on away days, because Charlie asked me the question, or he asked us the question. He said, you know, have you got any concerns about Tino Livramento? And I said, Tino Livramento's one-on-one defending is absolutely sublime. And, you know, today, and particularly from what I saw, Pete, at home, you know, watching it on the box, every time Tino was asked a question, every time defensively, he stood up and he was there and he was countered. And I thought Tino Livramento was outstanding today. Defensively, he was absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Lewis Hall. Like, I can't begrudge him the man of the match, because I also thought Lewis Hall was incredibly good. And there was loads of players. You know, I wanted to give a shout out, didn't I, to Nick Pope. you're absolutely right, Pete, in your analysis when you say he didn't have much to do in terms of shots. But I just, for once, knowing how dangerous Arsenal are at set pieces, and he's coming out, he's punching the ball, he's claiming the ball, and I'm thinking, this is what your goalkeeper should be doing. This is what we need from the goalkeeper, and you're doing it. He absolutely did it today. And even when the ball was getting whipped in, I was thinking, Pope's got this. And he's getting a good fist on it, and he's clearing it. Even his kicking wasn't too bad today for a change. I wanted to give some credit there to Nick Pope, but Anthony Gordon's outstanding. Joe Linton again on that. I love Joe Linton on that left wing. I've missed Joe Linton on that left wing. Thought he was brilliant. Bruno come in. Obviously, he wasn't dropped. I would say he was probably rested for that Chelsea game. Bruno came back in, a lot of question marks, probably a lot of pressure as well. You know, he's got the captain's armband, and he'll have heard people, you know, screaming for Tonali to play in that 6 role, you know, to play in the middle. And Bruno did what Bruno does. You know, that looked like the Bruno of old to me. So I know I've practically listed nearly every player, but for me, I
do the subs.
I could well. And Isak for that finish, of course. But no, for me, it was Tino Livramento. I just his one-on-one defense. There was a moment as well when Martinelli. I think it was early on. It might have even been that clip. Martinelli gets a yard on him and goes, and the commentator goes, "Oh, you know, he's got past Tino Livramento," and Livramento just catches up with him, and he's like, "Yeah, see you, mate. I'll have that."
It's so cool and calm then when he gets it as well.
So controlled. And there was loads of little interchanges, loads of little passing triangles in that right hand side, and Tino just looked like the Tino when we signed him. I just thought it was one of his best games, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. But Pete, I'm dying to know who you're going to pick.
I know Pete is a different one.
Yeah, I do. I've got a different one. I thought you were going to go for this guy, but I completely understand why you went for Tino. And I thought Tino and Hall were at their equals in terms of how good they were, and either one of them could have got man of the match. I know why Hall's got man of the match, and I'll come back to that in a second. But for me, I just, and people might not agree with me with this. But I thought Sean Longstaff was unbelievable today. I thought he was so good.
He was.
And for the reasons, there's a number of reasons why I would have given Sean Longstaff my man of the match. Is because for all the things that people have talked about why he should be in the team. Now, you know, I want Sandro Tonali in the team. You know why. But Sean Longstaff's tireless work was superb today. Absolutely superb. He covered every blade of grass. He was always involved in the transitions. And some of the key, particularly in the second half, some of the key challenges he made in positions he had no right to be in were absolutely crucial in us getting this win. Absolutely crucial. I thought he was excellent today. Now, he might have not scored the winning goal or got an assist or did things at the opposite end of the pitch, but what Longstaff did was in the defensive area. He protected us. He got us. Yeah, exactly that. He got us into those positions to win the game. And Charles nearly choked on his Horlicks with regards to me saying Longstaff. And a lot of people might not talk about Longstaff, but I watched him really closely, and I watched his movement, and I watched how he made the connections, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Sometimes it is about style and not the individual player. And his style suited this midfield perfectly today. He allowed Willock to get forward and do what he needed to do in that midfield. He allowed Bruno to be the Bruno that we know and love. And he just picks up the pieces. And he's that type of guy. And he almost said that in his interview after the game, is that, people might not think I'm that good, but I'll come in and I'll give everything for the team, and I'll do the bits that I need to do for this team. And he is that. He is that, the missing pieces to this midfield. And when we've questioned the midfield and when people have said it's not quite working, he allowed that to work today. I'm not saying he's going to do that every game, but for today, in this moment, he was fantastic and fair play to him. He was brilliant. Now, I know why Hall got man of the match. When you completely lock down England's right winger, and you resort him to 2 crosses into the box in the whole game, that deserves its plaudits. Now, Hall will get his plaudits, for one, because he locked down Saka. For two, is that the media will now be touting him, and rightly so, to be picked for the England squad, because he's proven his credentials today. That's why he's got man of the match. Tino's already been picked in the England squad. He's already in there. He's already showed his credentials, and he was superb today. And everything that Chris has said, I agree with. He was absolutely brilliant. But that is why Lewis Hall has got picked. Lewis Hall was an excellent attacking wing back when he came to Newcastle United. Lewis Hall now is becoming the complete left back for Newcastle United. There's a difference there. You know, he was very raw. He was good at attacking moments, good at getting the ball, crossing the ball in, good with the ball at his feet. But what he showed today was excellent ability and intelligence to defend in tight areas against a player who is supremely talented. But he didn't look supremely talented today because he looked distinctly average. And that was down to Lewis Hall. Now, there's lots of little caveats to that. There's lots of other things that I want to talk about with other players, but Daz, we'll come to you, mate. Like what? I know you've talked about Hall, but anything else to touch on with regards to performances?
Yeah, I'm just looking back at my notes now again. I'm going to stick with Hall, but it was a fight really between Hall and Tino. But I did note Longstaff's performance as well. But just a few little comments then, like, God, do we need to buy a right winger? I think we still do. But it's great. Gordon can do an excellent job there.
He's proved he can play there, Laz. He's proved
he's proved it.
This is the thing, like for me, and I want to get your thoughts on this, boys. Like, for me, that is the front three moving forward. And Gordon might not be playing where he wants to play, ideally, but he can play there. And he's proven today that he can make a difference in that area. And so for me, I think that needs to be the front three. And that's Barnes not playing. That's Miggy not even being considered. That's Murphy nowhere near the squad because he's injured, but will struggle to get back in anyway with Wilson coming back in. Will he make the squad? There's questions there to be asked, but the key is that he can play in that position. If he's producing moments like that, then we've got to be happy with it. Yeah,
definitely.
No, definitely.
Let's move on from man of the match. Let's go to some of the comments in the chat, because I know comments in the chat will always lead us in a different direction. So what do we got, lads?
They will. So Geordie Tune for Life starts us off with, just in case Dan 12th man is watching, another 25 million on Isak's price. I think, yeah. And I must say, boys, yeah. I mean, Isak played really well. He took his chance really, really well. But I must say, from an Arsenal perspective, and Dan, if you're watching, mate, I do apologise, but I didn't see Premier League champions today. I didn't see it. And I thought in the first few weeks, I was thinking, oh, this could be Arsenal's time. Obviously, Man City losing today against Bournemouth, Liverpool still grinding out wins when they're losing 1-0. Someone in the chat, I haven't watched the game, but someone in the chat said that Liverpool were lucky, to win because Brighton played pretty well. But from what I saw today of Arsenal, I'd be interested to hear your boys' thoughts as well. I just didn't see Premier League champions. I just didn't see it. I don't know what it is. I mean, Arsenal fans are saying that they're missing a striker, which I know they've been saying for God knows how long. They're missing Odegaard. But for me, I don't know. I was listening to TalkSport when I popped out before on the radio, and a few Arsenal fans were calling in saying, Arteta's got to go, and they always get this kind of reaction, when Arsenal.
I was listening the same on the way over.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I mean, one fan said that they should bring in Patrick Vieira. Apparently,
I heard it. Oh,
I was like, the fella, I forget who it was. I don't know whether it was Wardy Jennings or Jason Cundy. No, it was Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. And they were like, mate, you can't be serious, surely.
Yeah.
And he's like, Patrick Vieira's the one. But like, I'm really sorry, Dan, but the title's not happening this season, mate. Purely just for the way that we performed. And, we were absolutely excellent. I'm not taking anything away from us, but Arsenal are going to come up against equally as tough, if not for the opposition. And if that's the answer that they've got, it's not good enough. It really isn't.
He already knows it. He messaged it in the chat. He was like, the title's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Even with Man City's result today, he was like, the title's done. Like he knows it. He's what he's like. He's not a stupid Arsenal fan like many others. Like he'll tell it how it is. And absolutely, you know what? Just to touch on Isak, that didn't even look like the best defensive partnership in Europe, which is what's been touted with those two. And you know what I loved about Isak? He scored his goal. He scored the winning goal. And he was great finish, all the rest of it. What I loved about Isak, he showed the other side of his game today.
Yeah.
His hold-up play was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The hold-up play was excellent. Like, we were pumping balls along from free kicks deep, from goal kicks up to Isak. And early on, I'm thinking, why are we doing that? Because he ain't going to win anything in the air. He didn't need to. If you watch it back, all he does is just he puts his body in front of the defender and he just pushes the defender back to the ball. Doesn't land on their head. It lands in front of them. And when it lands in front of them, it gives him a chance to control it off his body and he can link the play off the back of that. And he did that countless times throughout the game. And it was perfect. And that just allowed the ball to stay up pitch. It allowed us to then get on the ball. And the amount of times he kicked the ball long, or Pope would kick the ball long, and he'd just back into the centre-back, Saliba or Gabriel, he did it to both, and he'd just let the ball bounce, and he'd control it, play it off to Bruno, or play it off to Joe Linton, or whoever was on the out wide, and he played it out, and we kept the ball in high areas. That's what a striker needs to do. Like, making those runs in the behind and all the rest of it is great. But that other side to his game really helped Newcastle United push up the pitch. And it took the pressure off the defence and it allowed us to move forward. And he did that in transition so many times. And I love that about him. But the fact that Saliba and Gabriel allowed him to do that raised question marks for me about how good they are. Because normally they're quite bullish. And he dominated them today, in my opinion. Yeah,
absolutely. I think Arsenal would have been envious of the fact, because I think if Arsenal has Alexander Isak up front, not just our game, but their season would look a lot different as well. You give Alexander Isak chances, and invariably he will put them away. And we saw that today. One real big chance, and he puts the ball in the back of the net, and we go away with the 3 points. And that's what the top strikers do. And as I say, I can't praise him enough for the finish, but the ball from Anthony Gordon was like absolutely brilliant. Right. I know we were talking about this in our chat, boys. Leslie Stapleton says Shearer's celebration in front of Righty was a sight to behold. It was. Anyone who hasn't seen it, get yourself on their social media and you'll see Alan Shearer celebrating. Why was he invited in a wheelchair, by the way?
He had crutches early on in the day as well. So
he's had if I'm right, I think he's had a knee replacement.
Has he? Yeah.
I think so.
I can't help.
Because Roy Keane was reading him the other day.
That's right, he was, wasn't he?
In the overlap.
Where do you put him?
They're best mates. They are. They absolutely love each other. They're really
Yeah.
close mates. But I think he's had a knee replacement. I think.
I'll get well soon, Righty.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to give a shout out to Jason Scott. He's in Greece for his birthday. Thank you for dropping a like. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for dropping a like, Jason, and I hope you enjoy the watch back, mate. But happy birthday and enjoy yourself in Greece. We've also got Trulls. Trulls is in the chat. He's been a member for 29 months, boys. 2 years and 5 months.
Wow, nice one, Trolls. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely. If you haven't become a member, please do consider so. We do our prize draws, and not only will you become a Loaded Ultra, but you, as I say, you will also be a part of those prize draws. So if you are interested in becoming a member, you've got to click the join button. Apparently, you can't do it on your mobile phone. It's got to be done on a PC or a laptop or a tablet. But there's a little blue button and it's a join button. So if you want to become a Loaded Ultra and get yourself involved in those prize draws, please consider doing so. Pete, this one is directed at you, mate, and this is from Andy Ford. And he says, what did Pete think about the Arsenal players at the end of the game? I was in the Leazers end and only 2 of their players came over to acknowledge the away fans. I thought that was shocking. Did you notice that, Pete, when you were in the midst of celebrating?
No, I'll be honest. At the end of the game, I couldn't care less about Arsenal and what their fans were doing. I couldn't care less. But obviously, if you're in the Leazers, you would see it directly. And what I did notice is at 87 minutes, a lot of the Arsenal fans were already leaving. Bearing in mind it went to 96 plus before the ref blew the whistle, told its own story. I think Arsenal fans knew by 87, 88 minutes that the game was up, that they weren't going to get back into it. And so that's maybe why the players, didn't go over to the fans, because a lot of the fans had already gone by then. 2 or 3 minutes after the game, you look up, and I did look up to the away end. Vast majority had gone. Vast majority had already gone. They got out there very, very quickly. And so maybe that's why. I mean, if you're in the Leazers, you might not be able to see that, because we're in the Gallagher, you're able to see directly straight across. But yeah, it is. But that's down to the fact that we absolutely pummeled them into the ground. And one of the quotes that I said to the Midlands chat as I was walking back to my car, I said, effectively, what we did today is we sat on their plate and we made them eat it. That's what we did. That's what we did.
Nicely summarized. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen Arteta's press conference yet, but I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see if he comes up with any excuses. Because for me, trying to be as neutral as I possibly can, I cannot see what he can blame for that today. Because at the end of the day,
I saw some of it.
Oh, did you? What was?
Yeah, because it was on. They went the move to TNT4, and he interviewed him, and he had no excuse. He gave some credit to Newcastle as well. So a lot different from last year's version. Yeah. But no, he was.
Oh, well, fair play.
Just credited to Newcastle and Eddie Howe.
Fair play. Fair play. Oh, I've just been alerted. We have a super chat from Tyson. Tyson, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, Tyson.
Get in, lads. I so look forward to your reactions at the start of these vids, especially after a huge win. Nice one, mate. Thank you so much. Yeah, we love it, mate. We absolutely love it. And do you know what? As you all know, and a few people in the chat have already said it, we're not living in Newcastle, so we don't always get to the games as often as we'd like to. And Pete was at the game today, which is absolutely fantastic. But I'm from Liverpool, Dad's from Ireland, Pete's from Leicester. So for us to come on and do this and be able to, talk about Newcastle, club we love, and to be able to share it with all Newcastle fans, some are at the game, some who are like us aren't in Newcastle. It's absolutely brilliant. Honestly, we love it. And there's 254 people in the chat right now. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. We really, really appreciate it. And it helps us share these shows far and wide. And like I say, we love the community we've built, and we love all of you coming in and joining us. And it's great, Tyson, when we see stuff like that, mate, you really appreciate, us taking the time and seeing our reactions and stuff like that. So no, thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Well said, Chris.
Right, where are we now? Let's see. So we've got a good friend of the channel, Johnny Greenwood. Hope you're well, Johnny. Johnny says, tactically, Eddie Howe was outstanding today. Arsenal ran out of ideas. Can't remember Pope making a save. You touched on that earlier, Pete. Gordon's cross was sensational for Isak. It was. The goal from Isak is some finish away the lads. Daz, Johnny says at the start of that there that Eddie Howe was outstanding today. We've heard in recent weeks, haven't we? Eddie Howe's coming for a little bit of criticism. Some people would say fairly, But what do you think Eddie's done well today? And what advice, if you could speak to Eddie now, what advice would you be giving him going into the next game, which is Forest away, which isn't going to be easy?
First, I was saying is go and enjoy your weekend, Eddie, because of the pressure. You can see he did his interview with Lindsay and Joe Cole and Martin Keown after the game as well, and yeah, there was a bit of a relief about it. He kind of was kind of alluding to as well that it was kind of under pressure stuff, not in the game, not for his job, but in the game. But no, I think go and enjoy your weekend and then focus on look at the match back, do your analysis and prep for Nottingham Forest next weekend. But no, he did. I agree with what Johnny was saying there. He did get everything right, and the hard work has paid off, and it's great to see that he has made some changes now that have allowed him to and our team to excel. But it means nothing though if we don't follow it up in the next one, because the doom and gloom will come back again. We need to get a result now against Forest, and then kick on then, because there's a few winnable games then after that you'd be expected expect us to be winning. But let's see.
Yeah, Pete, what advice would you be giving to Eddie Howe after today's game, and also, looking forward to the Nottingham Forest game? Eddie, we know Eddie, he focuses on one game and then he moves quickly on to the next game. He doesn't dwell on his results. But what would you be saying to Eddie, and does he deserve his credit today, for turning the tide a little bit? Because obviously we've seen us progress through to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. We've now got a nice home tie against Brentford, and then we've played against one of the champions elect. And we've really put them to the sword today. So what do you think Eddie Howe's got right today, and what would you be saying to
him? More of the same. Stick to what you know works is the key. Sometimes you try and sample and tamper and tinker with your team, but you're not able to make the big changes. So ultimately, Eddie Howe wants to transition into a possession-based team, a more footballing type of team, and that's absolutely fine. But if you haven't got the money and the finances and the players to be able to do that, go back to what works. Simple as that. Go back to what works. And so for me, at this point now, what he needs to do now is continue with what he's doing, because he's come up with a formula that works. We've seen it against Chelsea. We've seen it now against Arsenal. Continue with the same what works. Don't try and fit players into a team where it's not going to fit the style. So for me, going into Forest, a lot of what we saw today needs to stay the same, if not all of it. And so that would be my sort of question to him. Now, in terms of personnel, in one or two positions, they may well change. Like we saw the Tonali Longstaff thing change, and that's absolutely fine. And the reason being is that Eddie Howe's already talked about quite openly that he does change and put his personnel based on the game that's coming up. So the personnel that played as the first 11 against Arsenal might not necessarily be the best 11 to go out against Forest to win the game. But the fundamentals in terms of the pressing, the work rate, the pushing high, all that sort of stuff, we know it can work against Forest because we've done it the last 3 times we've been there. And so continue with that, but put out a team that you know is going to continue to do that, regardless of who those names are. And I'm really talking about that sort of midfield 3 more than anything, because the defense is kind of set and the attack is... you would expect the attack is quite set now with the way it's been in the last couple of games. So it's really the midfield that you might well see some changes in there.
Yeah, I agree, mate. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sandro Tonali starting against Forest, because I think we'd need his legs. And Pete, we were at the City game, weren't we, for the cup game? And that was Sandro's first game back, I believe, from his ban. And
yes,
Sandro was absolutely brilliant. So who knows? We may see Sandro again next weekend, but let's see. And I saw the Eddie Howe press conference, and he kind of alluded to that, didn't he? The fact that he picks his 11 based on the opposition and what the team needs to do in order to deliver a performance on the pitch. So yeah, wouldn't surprise me if he brings the changes, but equally wouldn't surprise me if he keeps the same team, because, like I say, the team played really, really well, and it would be harsh for any of them to be dropped. In fairness, but I know I'm hoping he makes the right decision, just so that we can try and get those 3 points. Because if we get the 3 points at the City ground, we're going to be absolutely flying, well and truly. Right. Okay. Yeah, this kind of leads us nicely onto Bill Ashby's comments. So Bill Ashby says, Toon, what a couple of performances in the last few weeks, folks. Question for Loaded Mag. Do we think this is a turning point for the season? And also, I feel like James Bunce is having an impact already now. Pete, what would you say in response to Bill's comment there?
Yeah, I think James Bunce is having an impact, because and I think it was hard to see originally, because a lot of players at the beginning of the season were looking unfit, and it looked like we were tiring at 60, 75 minutes, all the rest of it. But we're now starting to see maybe the work of James Bunce and what he does behind the scenes, in that we're able to then bring this intensity back, and it's starting to have an effect. But maybe it wasn't there early on. We looked at Gordon, we looked at Bruno, and one or two other players that weren't quite fit and ready to play sort of long periods. We look at Hall, for example. Hall, after 60, 70 minutes, was getting quite tired and quite laboured in his recovery runs and various other things, and was having to be brought off, and Lloyd Kelly being brought on. Now we saw him go the distance and look like he was fully focused and on it and fit to last the full game. So yeah, I think we are going to see the best, but ultimately we are seeing far less injuries, which is the key thing. And I think it has been something that they've been working on. I do think, from what's been said, the training methods have slightly changed. I do think the style of football is slightly changed up until the last couple of games to manage that. And maybe they were right. Maybe some players weren't or didn't get the opportunity to have a proper preseason, and maybe that was what the effect was. And maybe we're just seeing the benefit of those players now. But ultimately, we are seeing the benefit of those players now. We just need that to continue. If we keep the squad fit, and that the bulk of this squad fit, we're going to have injuries now and again. But if we can keep the bulk of this squad fit, and we're playing the way we are like that, we'll be absolutely fine. Not worried.
Yeah. Daz, what are your thoughts on Bill Ashby's comment below, in terms of, could this be a turning point in the season, and how big an impact do you think James Bunce has had?
And James Bunce, kind of linking up what Pete said, like last season, we're probably like flying fit, and we out of the block straight away, and then we faded off with all the injuries, and it just caught up with us this season. Whereas it was a slower kind of start first. We're getting the results at the start, but the performances weren't there. Then the performances starting to come back, but we're not getting the results. So yeah, is it now that we kick on from here and we get both? And those performances will translate into results, hopefully. But we need to kick on, and away form is what we can't. We've had our bad patch. Let's hope we don't rescind back into that again. Look, we're going to have the odd bad result, but we need to get those teams that we're coming up now. We need to get some results against them.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. It's so important, isn't it, that we follow up these last two performances with another good performance. Wouldn't it be great if we could play that Forest game and then go into the international break with that lovely little bit of run of form? Who knows? After the international break, we should have Callum Wilson back. We still don't know how far away Sven Botman is. Still not sure. Great to see him in the team photo, obviously, but I think he could be back end of November, early December, if what we're hearing is right, in terms of his progress is going really well. And wouldn't those two be a big boost to the team? And again, more and more options for Eddie to pick from. Right, this is an interesting one from Michael. Pete, I'm going to go to you with this one. Why do you think we do so well against the top opposition, but still struggle against, no disrespect, the lesser teams? If we sort this, are we finishing top 6 no problem?
Absolutely. I think if we'd been able to sort this, I think we'd finish higher than 6th. I think we'd be looking at Champions League football. Ultimately, the top teams, when they come to us, because they're considered the top teams, they'll be very expansive. They'll come out and try and hold possession. They'll try and break us down. They'll push high, and they'll try and squeeze us in as tight as possible to make sure that they can score. We play away now to catch them on the break, and so the styles work perfectly. Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, they work perfectly. And I do think to a point next weekend, I think we'll see Forest come and do that because they're full of confidence at the moment. I think they'll come out and want to try and beat Newcastle, which actually might play into our hands. But that's a conversation for another day. With other teams like your Evertons, for example, you'll probably get that with Palace away from home and a couple of others. They will sit in and say, right, you break us down. And this is the thing. This is what I think we've literally turned on its head recently, boys, in that actually what we're doing now, we're saying, no, you have the ball. Because Eddie Howe was trying to turn us into a footballing side. You look at the results over the course of the season, particularly when Tonali came into the team, we were 60-40 in possession. We were having more of the ball. But now in the last couple of games, we've gone, nah, you have the ball. You have the ball. You try and break us down, and we'll hit you on the break. And this is ultimately what we're doing. And this is why today, you're looking at the possession. Arsenal 64. I think Chelsea had more possession than midweek. Certainly did on Sunday as well. But we're saying you have the ball. You try and break us down, and we'll hit you back because we've got the pace and the quality in and behind to hurt you on the transitions. And this is why we were so good when we finished fourth. And this is why fans alike are going, why is it so different between when we finished fourth to now? It's because we are trying to transition. But Eddie Howe has struggled to do that because he's not had the players and been able to buy the players and move on some of the players to transition it as well as he could. And this is why he's almost reverted back to old type. So it is going to be a big question mark on Eddie Howe, particularly on those games. I do think West Ham will do the same. West Ham play the similar style. I think that'll be interesting at St. James's Park. I think they're going to go, Newcastle, you have the ball. And I think we're going to go, no, you have the ball. And it may cancel each other out. And it'll be a case of which quality wins the game. Man United do the same. They're very much a counter-attacking team. They go, you have the ball, we'll hit you. So I think that is the style. We're trying to be more of a top team, possession-based, but actually we just need to stick, and I keep saying it, we just need to stick with what works.
Yeah. Daz, do you think Newcastle, I'll frame it slightly differently, do you think Newcastle can start beating the lesser teams and really start moving up the league? Do you think it's something that, we're capable of? And do you think if we do start doing it, that we will climb the table?
Yes, we're capable of it, but we have to. It's something has to change though. If we don't, if we're the same old routine, it's no good getting up for these massive games and then, as Pete said, against Everton, Fulham is another one, but we're away from home. We know, but we have to dominate. Domination. That word. I remember that word. We have to dominate when we play the teams lower down on the table. There's no easy games, of course, but we have to make sure of it.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. We've got a few more questions. I'm just going to whiz through them really quick. Okay, so interesting one from Spunky Monkey N7F. Great name. He says, considering we have won 6 and drew 1 in Longstaff's last 7 starts, do we continue to start? If so, who's being dropped? So I'll reframe that slightly just to condense it a bit. Who's your midfield three for Forest? Go.
I think we have to, potentially Longstaff is the first name on the team sheet because of his record, right? But I think there's going to be a rotation between them. I'd still want to see J7 on the left now and Gordon on the right and Isak in the middle. So that moves J7 out of the picture. And like Eddie said, it depends on who the opposition are. Like Tonali didn't start this time, maybe it's his turn next time. And rotate, even if after we rotated Bruno in the cup game, maybe we all, and maybe that's on the James Bunce effect as well. Maybe he's having a word of the year. We need to rotate or else we'll just burn them out. So I don't know, Chris, yet who I'll be picking. That'll be in the away days. Stay tuned for away days for that one.
Like it. Pete, who's your free for Forest? How's you feel right now?
I think it's hard to look past the 3 that started today. However, I thought Tonali was excellent against Forest at the county ground. So it's a tough one. I think you'd be really hard pushed to take any one of those 3 midfielders out of the team. I just think the way they play, all of them, I thought they were excellent. Willock, for what he gives going forward in the transitions. He started the first 10 or 15 minutes at left centre mid, and then for the rest of the half, he played out as left winger. Him and Joe Linton transitioned, they swapped places, and I think that is crucial within our setup. So he has to play. Bruno's always going to play as the captain, and I think Longstaff, for his performance and his doggedness, has to play, because I thought he was excellent today. So it'd be really harsh on Tonali, because I think he's been great recently. But I think after that type of performance, it was almost a complete performance today. Best performance of the season. And I think for that, it makes it really difficult to justify taking any one of them out of the team. But who knows?
Warren Barton has just been on.
Sorry?
Warren Barton saying Batty and Rob Lee should be in there. But I don't know.
Maybe.
Some strange.
I happen to agree with Samsonite Dave. That's who I would start. I'd have Bruno in the holding. I'd play Tonali on the left of the midfield 3, and I would play Sean Longstaff on the right in the midfield 3. Now, the reason I'm saying start Tonali on the left of the midfield 3 is I don't want to burn Joe Willock out. I feel like I just want to wrap him in cotton wool and keep him ready. And I know that Sandro Tonali is more than capable of doing that interchanging, and I'd love to see him bomb forward with Bruno, and just and then Longstaff just come in and just hold, you know. I'd love
you're talking like we're in the Champions League season, man. The guy's got 7 days rest before the next game. He's got 2 weeks.
I just want to protect him. I do, because I think for the right game, I think Joe Willock can be such a big player, as we saw today, and I just don't want to overwork him. You know, when you see him pull, and maybe Pete, maybe it's because when we were at the City ground, we seen him pull up, didn't we? We seen Joe Willock pull up and he came off. Maybe that's what it is.
Trauma.
It's trauma.
You're not going down the Andy Carroll route there yet, Chris. You're not that far gone yet.
No. Quick one for Lee Jones. After today's result and the result in the midweek against Chelsea, can we finish top 4 again? Can we finish top 4 again and a cup at last?
Hang on, can you hear music? I definitely can't.
No.
I can't hear music, so don't worry. I'm not going there. No,
not yet.
Maybe
I think you can play it when we get back in this. When we get back in the places, Daz, I reckon you can play it. If we get back in that top 5,
Wolfie, fighting it out the top 4. No, look at it. Forget about top 4, Lee. Let's just concentrate on getting back in towards the European positions first.
Pete,
few signings then, though. You never know.
Yeah.
No.
Feel the same, Pete?
I'm not going to be doing the talking top 4 yet. For me, after the other previous results, it was well out of my mind, and it still is for now. Let's work in stages here. Let's make sure we get back in the sort of top 7, top 6, and then we can have a conversation about how we move and progress forward. But ultimately, take it game by game. Forest is up next. Let's go and get the win. Let's go and win that game before the international break. If we get a win before the international break against Forest, everyone's tails are going to be up. The fans, the club, the players, they're going to be buzzing after that. I think we just need to take it one game at a time. If we can go to Forest and get that win, it'll put us in a really positive position, because a lot of those teams are starting to play each other now. And this is where we can potentially pick points up. And if we can take points off Forest and be only 1 point behind them, with West Ham to come to St James's next after the international break, I think we're in a really, really good position, and it actually cancels out a couple of the results that we've had previously that haven't gone well. So the Brighton game and the Arsenal game almost cancel themselves out. If we can go win against Forest, that for me kind of cancels out the Everton game, and then we're getting closer to being on a par. So when we can progress forward, so but like Daz, you put the league up earlier. This league is the most competitive it's ever been for a very, very long time. Every team is pretty close to each other, and so every win and every point is crucial. Losses are hugely detrimental to your progress, so we have to keep getting those points.
And this is just one very last quick one before I go to a question to Daz. But Tsunami Netherlands comes up with a great point. I just want to highlight this. He says, has Dan Ashworth pulled the blinder with these two youngsters? And he's referring to Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento. So I think we've got to give a big thank you to Dan Ashworth there, because that's a lasting legacy. We've managed to get the two most up and coming wing backs in the Premier League, and they both happen to be English, and they both happen to be ours, which is just absolutely brilliant. I think Tino Livramento is 21 and Lewis Hall's just turned 20. So I think Dan Ashworth's done us a favour there. And of course, as Tsunami Netherlands mentions there, a nice little bit of profit on the Yankuba Minted as well. So it's not all bad, boys. It's not all bad. Last question. So, well, I say question. Daz, Yano, this is Yano's bugbear. Yano brings this up a lot, doesn't he? But Yano has said, can Daz spell striker?
Aye, I can. Aye, man. It's STRIKER. Good night, everyone. See you soon.